So, what's the most venomous animal on the entire planet? Now, that sounds like it should be a pretty simple question, right? But the answer, well, it's a deep, deep rabbit hole of scientific debate, some really surprising contenders, and a critical twist that kind of changes everything. Let's get into it. Okay, to really get to the bottom of this, we're going to have to look at the top contenders, the heavy hitters. We'll also need to understand the actual science of toxicity, and then we'll uncover a really surprising twist that completely redefines what deadly actually means. You see, crowning a single winner just isn't that easy. It really all depends on how you define your terms. Are we talking about the most potent drop-for-drop toxic venom in a lab? Or are we talking about the animal that's the biggest danger to humans out in the real world? But before we even meet the contenders, we have got to clear something up. It's a really crucial distinction. The difference between something being venomous and something being poisonous. People use them interchangeably all the time, but in biology, they mean two completely different things. It really just boils down to the delivery method. See, venom is actively injected. Think fangs, stingers, that kind of thing. It's a weapon. Poison, on the other hand, is a passive defense. It's harmful if you eat it or touch it. So for this explainer, we are focusing strictly on the world of venom. So how do scientists actually compare the raw power of all these different venoms? Well, they've got a standardized test for that, a way to measure the lethality on a totally level playing field. It's called the LD50, which stands for lethal dose 50%. This is basically the gold standard for measuring pure toxicity. It tells us exactly how much of a substance is needed to be fatal for half of a test population, which, are usually lab mice. Now, with LD50, the one thing you really have to remember is that a lower score is way more dangerous. It's kind of counterintuitive, but the smaller the number, the less venom it takes for a lethal dose, which means the toxin is incredibly, incredibly potent. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. While LD50 is a fantastic way to measure pure toxicity in a lab, it definitely doesn't tell the whole story. I mean, a mouse isn't a human, right? And this measurement doesn't factor in things like how much venom an animal injects in a single go, or how crazy fast that venom works in a real-world situation. So, keeping that in mind, let's look at the top contenders based purely on that LD50 score. Who has the most chemically powerful venom on the entire planet? First up, we've got Australia's inland taphound. By the numbers, it has the most toxic venom of any snake, period. A single drop is this devastating cocktail of neurotoxins powerful enough to kill dozens and dozens of adult humans. The good news for us, it's an incredibly shy reptile, and human encounters are almost unheard of. Next, we're going to head into the ocean to meet the box jellyfish. Its venom is just notorious for being unbelievably fast-acting and powerful. The sting itself is excruciating, and the toxins can cause heart failure so fast that a lot of victims don't even make it back to shore. It's terrifying. And for a real surprise, say hello to the marbled cone snail. Yeah, it might be slow, but it hunts with a venom-tipped harpoon that it literally fires at its prey. Its venom is this incredibly complex cocktail, which makes it one of the most toxic substances found anywhere in nature. So there you have it. Those are our champions of pure, raw toxicity. But this is where the story gets really interesting. Is the most toxic venom in a lab the same thing as the deadliest animal in the real world? The answer is a hard no. Because when we shift our focus away from lab tests and onto actual human fatalities, the whole picture just changes completely. The animals with the most potent venom, they're almost never the ones responsible for the most deaths. Just take a look at this study from California, for example. Over a 17-year period, the number one killer wasn't a snake, it wasn't a spider. Nope. Responsible for over half of all venom-related deaths were bees, wasps, and ants. And that's mainly because of severe allergic reactions. Now, if we zoom out and look at the whole planet, snakes are responsible for a staggering public health crisis. We're talking about over 1.25 million injuries from snake bites every single year. It's not about having the most toxic venom, it's about the sheer number of times they run into people. And this brings us right to our main takeaway. There's a huge difference between being toxic and being fatal. The inland taipan, sure, it's the most toxic, but plenty of other snakes are way more fatal. And in some places, a simple bee sting is the biggest threat. So the most venomous animal, it completely depends on how you ask the question. Venom isn't just for snakes and spiders. This incredible evolutionary tool has popped up in some of the most unexpected, weirdest corners of the animal kingdom. Okay, believe it or not, there are venomous mammals. The male platypus can deliver an excruciatingly painful sting from a spur on its ankle. Some shrews and moles, they use toxic saliva to paralyze their prey, and the slow loris, the world's only venomous primate, actually has a toxic bite. It's wild. And what about dinosaurs? Well, some scientists have actually proposed that this small raptor, the Sinorthenosaurus, may have been venomous. The evidence they point to is these grooved fangs and a little pocket in its skull, perfectly placed for a venom gland, which it probably used to quickly take down its prey. Okay, now for the final and maybe the most incredible part of this whole story. Venom isn't just a weapon for killing. It's also one of the most promising sources for life-saving medicines. This is where the story of venom turns into a story of medicine. Components from conestale venom have been used to create a painkiller that's way stronger than morphine. A hormone from Gila monster venom is used to treat type 2 diabetes, and molecules from spider and snake venoms are being used to develop treatments for heart disease and high blood pressure. It's amazing. It really shows that these deadly compounds, perfected over millions of years of evolution, are just a treasure trove for medical research. As one source puts it, the study of venom is not just about understanding danger, it opens the door to discovery. So ultimately, the venom is nature's great paradox, isn't it? It's a killer's tool that also holds the keys to a cure. And that leaves us with a really tantalizing question. As we keep unlocking its secrets, what other life-saving medicines are just waiting to be discovered inside the world's deadliest toxins?